smile that makes the sun rise. You make it shine, but I can see that you don't realize, and that's what made me fall in love. 'Cause you got style, the way your body makes my heart beat sound. It's amazing all the time. You are the only thing I need in life.
Hey everybody, it's Mickey, and in today's video I'm sharing with you 5 day-saving recipes that I turn to get dinner on the table quick. So if you are new here and you like DIY, decor, organizing, cooking, and crafting videos, I hope you'll take a minute to subscribe. I put out new videos every week about all things home. I was asked in a recent video what were my go-to recipes, the ones that I always fall back on when I'm stumped as to what to make for dinner. So this video is 5+ recipes that are in my rotation a couple times a month and the ones that my family requests the most. So let's start with breakfast. Now we eat a lot of oatmeal in our house and avocado toast, but by far our favorite breakfast is our own version of Egg McMuffins. I scramble up an egg, sometimes with a little spinach, some salt and pepper, Mrs. Dash, and a few shakes of hot sauce. I add this all on top of a toasted English muffin with a little ham and cheese, and this makes the best portable breakfast when you need to get out that door quickly. It also makes a pretty good lunch and breakfast for dinner too. One of my all-time most requested recipes is one that I make all the time, probably every week, and that is pasta primavera. I have shared this so many times on my channel, but every time I show it, I get so many questions on how to make it, so I thought I would take some time today and share the recipe with you. Basically, this is a pasta dish that has a combination of pretty much any kind of veggies that you would want. For me, the best combo is zucchini, red bell pepper, onions, garlic, mushrooms, and grape tomatoes. You just saute it all up in olive oil and butter and cover it all up with Romano cheese in the end, and you just can't go wrong. This pasta goes with everything. You can use any type of pasta that you want with this recipe. You just may have to adjust your olive oil and butter. Today I'm going to be using this mini spaghetti that is one of our family favorites. One of my favorite things to do is to chop vegetables, and that is what we were going to start with. We're going to chop up our zucchini, mushrooms, peppers, onions. Today I'm going to be using some jarred minced garlic because I don't have any fresh garlic in the fridge. I like to chop everything up at once, put it in a large bowl. It just makes it easier to transfer everything over to the saute pan. Okay, so next you're going to add about 5 tablespoons of butter and probably a good 3 tablespoons of oil to your saute pan. Now this may seem like a lot, but remember this is seasoning the whole entire dish, including the pasta. Next you're going to add your bowl of chopped vegetables and saute them for about 3 to 5 minutes. Then next we are going to add the minced garlic and seasonings. Now you can add your garlic powder, salt and pepper, Mrs. Dash, red pepper flakes, basil, and oregano. At this point you can just season it to taste because we will be re-seasoning it later in the process. Meanwhile, cook your pasta according to package directions and let your veggies cook on low for just another few minutes. While everything is cooking, we're going to slice a big bunch of grape tomatoes. I just like to slice them in half, and then we're going to chop some flat leaf Italian parsley. Once the tomatoes are all sliced up, go ahead and add them to your pan and just mix them through the veggies. Drain and rinse your pasta and slowly add it to your saute pan, mixing with each addition. At this point, we're going to re-season our dish, adding extra red pepper flakes, basil, garlic powder, and salt and pepper. Cook on low for about another minute or so. Take it off the heat and add your fresh chopped parsley. This is absolutely my favorite form of pasta that I make. I cover the whole top with Locatelli Romano cheese. I also like to add fresh basil to it. This dish is very versatile. You can add whatever veggies that you have in the house. This is also really delicious with broccoli and artichokes, and it is perfect for a meatless meal. So today we are making a big pot of my veggie tomato sauce with meatballs. This is such a great sauce to split up and freeze because you can use it in so many different recipes. This is also a really healthy sauce because you can put so many different kinds of vegetables in it, whatever your family likes, and it just adds to the great flavor. You know, it's something that I like to have in my freezer all the time for those quick weeknight meals or just a handoff to one of the kids to bring home. So some of the things that you will need for this recipe is a couple packages of ground meat. I really like to use this meatloaf mix because it's a combination of veal, beef, and pork, and it really adds a great flavor to meatballs. You will also need a couple 28-ounce cans of tomatoes. I like to use the regular sauce, crushed and diced tomatoes. Any brand will do. As for the veggies, I will be using some fresh parsley, white mushrooms, zucchini, green peppers, onions, and garlic, but you can use whatever veggie your family likes. So we are going to get started on our meatballs first, and I always like to make my own breadcrumbs for my meatballs, which you can really use any bread that you have around the house. I just put it all through my small food processor. I also add my parsley, garlic, onions, and green peppers, which run through the food processor as well. So I add everything to my small food processor, one ingredient at a time, and then I add it all to the big mixing bowl. You know, I will be sure to put the full recipe in the information section down below, and just like all of my recipes that I share, this one is very forgiving, and you can add to it or leave out whatever suits your family best. So to my meatball mix, I add some Romano cheese, salt and pepper, red pepper flakes, Mrs. Dash, Worcestershire sauce, an egg, and I always make a little extra breadcrumbs in case I need it while I'm mixing. So with clean hands, you're going to mix all of your ingredients together until everything seems to be evenly distributed throughout the meat. And then you're just going to break off a bit of meat and roll between your hands to make your meatballs. Now everyone has their own idea of the perfect meatball shape and size. I had an aunt when I was growing up who thought the perfect meatball was about the size of a softball, so you can pretty much make them any size you want. You would just have to adjust the cooking time. I like to bake my meatballs in the oven for about 35 minutes at 350. So moving on now to our sauce, I am just prepping all of my veggies to go into the food processor. I like to puree these up pretty well so that they melt into the sauce, where you get all the flavor but the sauce remains smooth. In a large stock pot, add about a tablespoon of butter and 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and then you are going to saute the pureed vegetables for about 3 to 5 minutes. After that, you're going to want to add about a 1/4 cup of white wine. Now this is a step that you can leave out completely without it affecting the flavor of the sauce. Next, you're going to add all of your canned tomatoes. That's the sauce, crushed tomatoes, and the chopped tomatoes. And then you're going to want to add all of your seasonings, which will be listed in the information bar down below. After those are all stirred in, you're going to be adding your baked meatballs. Bring everything to a low boil and then simmer for about a half hour to 40 minutes, and then your sauce is done. With this recipe, you can make the best meatball subs that can feed a crowd. This is also the sauce that I use for baked ziti, lasagna, raviolis, just a regular weeknight spaghetti dinner, and pizza sauce on Friday night. On our list, we are going to be making some chili, and this is really the best, easiest recipe that you can ever try. This has fed troops full of Boy Scouts, and it's always the first thing everybody requests when we have big family gatherings. I always use ground turkey for my chili, and I have 2 packages here. They're about 20 ounces each. I have a jar of Pace mild picante sauce. I have a 28-ounce can of crushed tomatoes, a package of Old El Paso original taco seasoning mix, and a whole mess of other spices. I have parsley, basil, oregano, red hot pepper, Mrs. Dash, and some sugar. So I have the turkey browning in the pan, and over in my big stock pot I am going to start on the sauce. So I'm just going to add my big old can of crushed tomatoes, the whole jar of picante sauce, there we go, and my packet of taco seasoning. Okay, we're going to turn this on medium heat. So then we are going to add our spices, and like I always say, I think that spices should be added to taste. So that is an individual thing, and you can add as much or as little as you want. Once the meat is all browned, you're just going to transfer it into your big stock pot, bring it to a boil, and then turn it down to medium and let it simmer for about 25 minutes, and you're done. We like to serve it over a little bit of rice with some shredded cheddar cheese on top and sour cream. I couldn't let a day saving recipe video go by without a crock pot meal. I use my crock pot every week, knowing that you can put your dinner together in the morning, go about your day, and have a hot meal at night. Really does save your day. We have so many that are our favorites that it was really hard to choose, but I picked this orange chicken recipe because it is quick to put together and really tastes great. We are making a new crock pot recipe today for dinner tonight. We are going to be having orange chicken, rice, and broccoli. This recipe is so simple and full of flavor, and as always, there's always a little room to put your own flair into it. For this recipe, you will need 2 to 3 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken breast. You'll need about a half a cup of barbecue sauce, a cup of orange marmalade, some cornstarch and water that comes in at the end of cooking, 1 to 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, and a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar. You'll also need a teaspoon of ginger. I don't have it here, but what I also added was about 1/4 of a teaspoon of red pepper flakes and a couple good shakes of some hot sauce. Cut the chicken into small pieces, season with some salt, pepper, and garlic powder, and place in the bottom of your crock pot. I am using one of those crock pot liners today to make cleanup just a little bit easier because this recipe can be a little bit sticky. Mix the remaining ingredients together except for the cornstarch and water and pour over the chicken pieces. Mix well to combine, cover, and cook on low for 4 hours. About a half hour before the end of cooking, take a tablespoon of cornstarch and a tablespoon of water, mix together and pour on top. Mix well and let it cook for another 30 minutes or so to thicken up, and your recipe is done. Be sure to check the temperature of your chicken with a meat thermometer to be sure that it has come to the proper temperature. We served it on top of a bed of rice with a side of broccoli. I wanted to include something sweet, and I haven't found anyone yet who doesn't love banana bread. I love making quick breads because you can eat them for breakfast, tuck them away for an afternoon snack, or add them to the end of a big meal. You will need 1 cup of sugar, 1½ cups of flour, your 3 smashed bananas, 1 teaspoon baking soda, a pinch of salt and vanilla, 1 egg, 1/3 cup of melted butter. I also added 1 teaspoon of cinnamon to this recipe. I have my big bowl for mixing and a prepared loaf pan. In your large bowl, cream together the egg and sugar, adding the salt and baking soda. Combine your melted butter into your bananas, mix well, and add to the large bowl. Go ahead and put in all your remaining ingredients, mix well by hand, and pour into your prepared loaf pan. Bake in a 350-degree oven for 50 minutes to an hour. This recipe really made a beautiful loaf of banana bread. I made a little bit of honey butter to go along with it, and it was gone before I could even get a picture of what it looked like on the inside. So that should tell you it was a pretty good recipe that I will be making again. So thank you all so much for watching today. I would love to know what your go-to recipes are. You know, those recipes that you make a couple times a month that are your family favorites. Let me know down below. I would love to have a few new recipes to try. Please join our communities over on Facebook and Instagram at My Bashful Life, and don't forget to subscribe. I would love to have you all back as part of our YouTube family. So until I see you in that next video, I hope that you love the life that you have, be kind to each other, stay safe, and I will see you again soon. Bye!